Hey, how is everyone doing? My name is Kurt. I'm a dad who draws. This is our Wednesday night portrait class. And tonight we'll be drawing the portrait of Stephen King. So let's get right into it. And I just want to thank Jewel. Jewel, that was a great suggestion because we were kind of hitting on a few authors. So why not throw him in the mix? I love it. So let's get right into this. I am live, so if you have any questions, by all means, just put it out there in the chat. I'll be good to answer them as we go along. But yeah, let's go ahead and see how we do. Before, we haven't gone over basics so far for a while. So let me just hide his photo here and just kind of go over two ways that you can approach drawing a portrait. And both of these ways, we're going to look at it as if you're looking straight on. Okay, so one way is to start with a sphere like this. And let me get up here and you can kind of walk through this process. Start with a sphere. Then you get yourself a center line. Hey Nancy, how are you doing? The other way you could do it is start actually with a box shape like this. And there is going to be your center line. Next, typically I want to go with the brow line. This is the line that goes through the brow, just like that. It's similar for both. Okay. Next, let's see. I like to go for the temples. Put the temples in. So you're going to have one temple like this. And, as I'm doing this, if you want to write little step-by-step notes in your margin, you might find that to be helpful. Then from here, we like to drop down about where the bottom of the nose is, okay? And then from there, you make it like thirds. So from the brow line to the bottom of the nose would be 1/3. Then from the bottom of the nose to the chin is another third. And if I still had hair, a third goes up, and this kind of gives you the hairline up there. So let's see here. We got a third. We could do it something like that, and then going up. All right, same thing here. Let's do that. Okay, let's keep moving along here. Let's kind of put in our rough features. Oh, before we go any further, as you can see, my head is already kind of flat on the sides, and this is where the advantage of kind of drawing the head flat per se. We've got to create these flat spots on the side of my head. So what we do here is we kind of slice off the outside part of the sphere. And then over on the other side, you can just kind of do that sort of thing. All right, let's get our nose in. So if you were part of my daily draw class, we actually had a class on drawing the nose this afternoon. And if you're interested in signing up for that class, we meet every day, and we meet for about 30 to 40 minutes. It's called the Daily Draw. I'll put a link down in the comments as soon as this class is done, and it is a great, you'll get a lot, it's a great value for your money. One, I'll teach you the habit of drawing every day, and two, we will hit pretty much every major category or subject matter, from drawing natural things to man-made things, portraits, character design, and animals. And we do that week after week after week. And in doing so, you're going to get great at drawing. So that's called the Daily Draw. Check that out. All right, check that out if you're interested. All right, so today we talked about drawing a nose. And sometimes I like to think of the nose almost like a man's necktie. So you can see how I drew that like that, and we can do the same thing on the other side. Okay. From here we can add the wings of our nose. So our nostrils, right, like that. And then the wings are on the outside like this. All right, this is about where our eye line's going to go. Then right below the nose, you have this area of the head. This is called the ball of the mouth. And so it kind of comes around like this. Then we end up getting the box of the chin. Box of the chin. Little liquid refreshment. It's my mandarin orange flavored seltzer water. And I just spilt it on myself. Look at that. All right, next. Corners of the mouth. Corners of the mouth kind of get close to the, and you can do this sort of thing. Sides of the head, you'll drop this down just a little bit, and this becomes the corner of your jaw because it lines up right with your the mouth there. And then from here, we just kind of curve it down like this. Same thing over here. We're going to bring it down, corner. Okay, let's get our eyes in place. The wings of your nose lines up on the tear ducts of your eyes. So it's tear ducts of your eye. You see how that alignment like that? And then usually the distance between your tear ducts equals one eye. So that's, look, one, there's one eye over there, and then two. So it's like your eyes are 3 eyes apart. Now you have to think that you have behind your eyes, you have an eyeball, of course, and so it's round, so your eyelids fit around the outside of it. So that's, you could kind of like, there creates your the bottom part there. Look at that. And then you could get in your upper eyelid. Oh, that's a good question. What are the benefits of starting off with a circle as opposed to a square? do you find? Okay, great question. And there isn't whatever you feel more comfortable with, I would start off by saying, but check this out. If this is where it comes into play, and you have to think about this. If I look straight at you, my head is far more square, and we're going to find that on today's portrait. But if I turn my head at an angle, now my head becomes extremely round. You see that? So especially when you get like a 3/4 view, now you've got a round backside, and then this straight edge over here. So a lot of times when I'm drawing a portrait, I prefer like a 3/4 view. I think it's far more interesting. And I'll start off by drawing a straight line, a loose straight line on this side, and then I'll do a round on that side. So if you are drawing somebody and they look very angular, especially for men, I think I like to use more of a squares for men. And then women, I like to use more round. So, but that's just my preference. What I want you to do is to use whichever one you want. Whichever one you want, or you just will help you give you confidence. So, for example, this George Bridgman, which was one of my very early on, I drew a lot from his books. Look at some of these simple figure drawings, and he uses blocks to describe heads, a combination of the block and circle. You see that? Let's see, where am I going here? Well, just like that. All right, let's see if I can get another picture in here of something here where you could also see him. All right, so this is a great example. Look at this page here. So he really uses the cube in order to really establish the direction of the head, and I found that to be I really personally find that to be extremely helpful. Sometimes drawing like the Andrew Loomis method, which seems to be all the rage, that sometimes trying to get those curves into perspective can be hard. So I hope that answers your question there. Okay, all right, so next, where are we at? All right, let's get the top of this guy's head here. Boom, just like that, because we already got this one here. And then your ears, now look at your ears usually line up with the top of your eye, right, and go all the way down to your nose. So they're going to be here. So we'll do something like this. And then on this side, and I'll show you one more thing, and then we'll get started. Last thing is then you're going to get your neck. You're going to get your neck in here like this. Why I want to show this to you is you'll see this happen a lot. Is right here is the pit of my neck. So that's gonna be right about there. But then we get this great tendon that comes back from the ear straight down here. So you could do this sort of thing. And that is a great, that is your basic general proportions of a head. So hopefully that will help you out there. And I would, as you practice your head drawing, the best thing I would recommend is come up with a step-by-step system. Like, oh, I'm going to do this next. I'm going to do this next. I'm going to do this next. And repeat that over and over and over again, and that will help you in trying to get your proportions down in your own process. That's what I did a long time ago, and it was extremely helpful. Let me see if I usually somehow have those notes laying around someplace. Let me see if I have them. I can share them with you real quick. Hold on. Let me just see back here. Nope. All right. I thought if they were close by, I could show them to you, but you get the idea. So just come up with a system, a step-by-step system, and then just put that on a post-it note next to your sketch pad, and just kind of go through that process over and over and over again. All right, let's get on to our main drawing tonight. Oh, and also if you first time here, make sure you subscribe and like the video. And always, I never know what to ask as far as comments go, but by all means, throw a comment in there. All right. Maybe your favorite Stephen King novel, right? I'll tell you what mine is. I never read the novel, but the movie with Christopher Walken from a long time ago was Dead Zone, and I thought that was amazing. It wasn't scary at all. It was just really, really good. So crazy. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and get started. All right. So we're going to start off with the with more of a square method tonight, I think. All right, so let's go ahead with that and get his brow line, and it's slightly angled there. All right, so there's the center line, and I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger here. So we'll make it a little bit bigger, and then when I get into the small stuff, we can go a little bit smaller. I don't, in general, I'll tell you right now, I am not a fan of horror. So most of Stephen King's books are too scary, and I personally won't read them. I don't even see most of his movies. So there are some that I think are very interesting, like that movie Dead Zone. I thought was good, and there was a couple others where I was like, "Whoa, he wrote that!" I couldn't believe it. But generally speaking, yeah, Stephen King scares me. I'm sure he's a nice man, but I won't. Yeah, no way. You won't find me doing that. All right, let's get this. Let's kind of go in here and look at his nose here. All right, so what I just did is I'll tell you another story here in a second. He's got his, I just dropped in some, where'd my mind? Oh, man, why does this happen? Like, I think of his temples. I just put his temples in just like that right there. Also, I threw in the bottom of his nose, just like what we just did. Now, as I observe his nose, this tip. Now, if I think of like drawing a tie, I also notice in his nose it's very round, that tip. So I'm going to go ahead and put like a round shape, just like this, and we can adjust it down the line. And then I noticed that the gabella of his head. What's going on tonight? This is kind of the top part of the tie there. Yeah, so here's one little thing regarding, and I'll keep drawing as I'm talking, about scary movies is I personally really love the nighttime. There's just something that is gorgeous about it because it's so quiet. I enjoy like if I wake up in the middle of the night, sometimes I'll go outside quietly and just sit on the porch and just kind of look around at the neighborhood, and just kind of, sometimes we'll get animals that will run by the house or whatnot, and I just really enjoy the night. I like looking at the stars and all that good stuff. So Now I know that if I end up watching or filling my mind with horror type of movies and things like that, it will take away the joys I get at nighttime because I'll just be scared all the time. So that's one reason why I try and avoid all horror because um, I just know that whatever it just ends up that take it from your dad who draws, right? Whatever you fill your mind with, a lot of times that's where you're going to. It's just going to have an effect on the way that you view things. So if you love horror, uh, you're going to fall into that cat. You're going to really kind of get trapped in that. I'm sorry. Here I'm talking like your dad. Well, guess what? I am a dad. So look what I just did as I was talking. I really try to focus on his nose here. And then I got his two nostrils, and one I noticed is a little bit more open than the other. You see that? So I kind of made that one a little bit bigger. And then like if you had a ball here and we're going to shade that ball, we might shade the ball like this, you see? So I think of his nose almost like a ball, and you could even come in here with a little bit of a coarse shadow right like that. Then you would add your nostrils and then add your wings. You see? So we could really kind of use the basis of a ball to get going. Didn't he write Poltergeist? Boy, that movie was scary as a kid. I think he did. All right, let's get let's put his two tear ducts in. All right, and they're going to be on the outside part of his nose there. And then I noticed like the distance between the underside of his nose to the top of his lip, that's kind of like, see, mine's kind of small, but his is much bigger. So let's come down here and we're going to go a third, look, a third from there. Let's just kind of double that up there. And then all right, so roughly there is this might be boy, he looks much older here, but you can't pick up any of those lines there. All right, so we're gonna make this mouth much lower here than normal. I want you to remember this little mantra I always have when I'm drawing a portrait is that focus on the construction and don't worry so much about the likeness. If you really focus on getting the person's construction down, that means everything we're going through right now, the likeness will inevitably just kind of fall into place. And it's something that I found to be extremely useful over the years. Okay, let's get those other eyes in place here. Here are on his temples. I just dropped two lines. This is kind of the square area of his face there. All right, let's get his lips. So when I draw lips, the first thing I look for is like the V in the upper lip, and his is not very visible. So let's see here what we got. Let's come in here. He doesn't have much of a V. Now this side is a little bit higher. You see that? it's very dark. The top upper lip is very dark. Goes out to the edge there and kind of drops down, and then this one's disappearing in the shadow a bit. Now, instead of drawing his lip, a really good way to convey the bottom lip, especially on a man, is just indicate where the shadow is. All right, just indicate. So if I come in here like this, and then I just kind of add the shadow. The bottom lip will take care of itself. This I picked up a long time ago as a kid. I was drawing from a book called How to Draw the Marvel Comics Way. And in that book, they would say, okay, for men, draw their upper lip, but just kind of do the shadow underneath the lower lip. And that idea served me well over the years. Okay, so his chin is almost like a keystone shape. A keystone shape. All right. Let's get these eyes in here now. His eyes, top part of his eyes are kind of going up, I see, and then they come down like this. And then this eye kind of goes up and then slightly curves. Yeah, so in the comments, if I'm curious of what Stephen King novel do you like? Whites of the eye. This is something I see students make a lot of mistakes. A lot of times in the whites of the eye, they don't give any tone. They leave it white and it looks very weird. So now check this out on his eye, his lower eyelid here. See the little strip of white? That's like he has his pupil and then there's a little bit of light and then it gets a little bit dark. Let me show you on this side, right? You see that? Let me change the color so you can see what I'm talking about. Right there, you see that? Let me erase that. See that part is where the skin is catching, the thickness of the skin is catching light. And that's a very common thing when we're drawing. We want to throw that in there. So how can we do that? Simply just by leaving just a little bit of light value and then this, look at that. This shadow is like, this is the skin underneath the eyeball going on. Same thing over here. Lawnmower Man. Oh, that is so funny, Connie. You know what? I just started seeing that. I started watching that movie weeks ago, and and I quit watching it. I got bored, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Did he write Close Encounters too? All right, here we go. Let's get his. We'll come back here and readdress his eyebrow there, but look at those eyebrows; they're fantastic. It was funny. All right, inside part of the head here. You know, I've made a mistake on mine. I can already tell you. I've made my nose too long. Look at that. You could use the cartoon check to see that. You could look at my nose and look at the photo, look at my nose and jump back and forth, and you'll see that I have made it too long. But I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to go with it as is here. I'm just kind of going with it as is, and we'll call it a day. All right. Let's get these rims. I feel like if we, I could kind of see his likeness in what I've got going here, but let's get these glasses in here, and I think that's gonna be a big help. So let's start with a top rim here, and really put it where. Right where you see it coming in contact with the rest of his eyes. So let's see here. This is going to be just above that, right? Oh. And then it's going to be right below that shadow there. You see that? How about this side here? This is going to come around. All right, let's keep going here. Moving right along. Let's see, his ears. Let's get his ears in here. And his ears are going to come below his nose. You see that? So we'll come up there like that. And what about his other ear? It's going to be, and the way I'm determining this, if I look at the bottom, here's his lobe, and I just kind of make a straight line. In my head, I'm doing that, and I could see that the bottom of his ear is kind of hitting in between his nose and mouth. So we'll come over here. It's going to be about there. And then we're going to drop down to his jaw, and look, his jaw is right here. Check this out. It's kind of the corner of his jaw is right about there. You see that? So it's a little bit lower than I originally had shown you. So we can come down here, and then this is gonna come right. And I'm matching. I'm really kind of. I'm kind of looking at the negative space. Let me see. I'm making some adjustments. Let's see. Coming down here. And then look at this. This is interesting. Dark Tower series is my favorite Western and not remotely scary. If you like Clint Eastwood movies and so, oh really? Oh, I love Westerns. Dark Tower series. Okay, all right. I'll check that out. I love Westerns. Look at that negative space there. You see that? that negative, not just space, it's more of a shape. So that's a pretty easy. Let's kind of match that shape. Now that we have that shape in place, that really helps us to deal with the hairline. And we can actually come in here now. Now watch this. And just use straight lines to go around. Don't use curves now, because sometimes curves are harder to kind of gear your way around or find your way. So I like to, this is the outside shape of his hair. And I'm just kind of drawing a contour here. All right. Dark towers. Okay. All right. I like that. I'll check that out. No scary stuff, Jewel. I trust you. All right, let's see here what's going on. All right, let's see. Let's get his neck in here, and you can see that he's kind of, look at that. There is the center point of his neck. You see this? And then his shirt there is coming out here. And I'm looking at the negative space here. I'm not going to worry about putting in his shirt, but there that will work just to get a quick outline there. Okay. Hey, Russell, what is up, good morning. Russell, I thought you were in England. It can't be morning yet. Maybe it is. Maybe it's 12:30, so. All right, let's see. Let's get this in there like this. What are you doing? You should be asleep. Okay, look at his jaw, his cheekbones. His cheekbones come from like right here in the ear, and they come right down into the upper jaw there. So we could kind of do this sort of thing. And then 1:28 a.m. Wow. What are you doing up, buddy? I would be sound asleep. All right, so now I'm just kind of using some surface lines, and you can see, now I've got all my features in. I'm feeling pretty good about my drawing, and I could start to slowly build up tone. And the way that I would suggest that you build up tone is that you kind of do it in levels. You might have, like a lot of times an oil painter whose points, can't sleep. I'm sorry, bud. When you are painting a painting, a lot of times a portrait painting, what you'll see, especially in oil, they will paint like one tone. They'll separate what's the light, what's the dark, and then they'll go into the dark and go, okay, now make that within the dark area, what's the dark and what's the lightest area within the dark. So they really start to separate the different values. So if I look at this picture here, I could start to drop like this whole side of his face is going to be in a darker value. So I'm just going to kind of go through here, and I'm not going full black yet. That will come next. And then even his hair, look, his hair, this is dark over here. So I could start to, somebody asked me about drawing hair. And the best way I have found over the years to draw hair is to think of it almost like solid clay. Almost like you were sculpting it. So you start to think of like almost like a wedge shape, something like this, right? And so this side might be in shadow. And then once you have that down, then you could add some hairs. But you see, it's like this shape here might be something like this. It might be round. That's a side view. So, you know, that's the way I kind of like to think of drawing hair, is I think of it as mass. And I'll add one more thing as you're doing this. You know, and I say this often, is drawing portraits has got to be one of the hardest things to do. So if it is something that you want to get good at, then dedicate yourself to, I mean, really doing it for a solid, just for a while before you quit doing it. You know, I would say, like, because we've got this Wednesday class that we get together, draw a portrait, you know, and then if you spent, you know, at least drawing a portrait, 2 portraits a week, and did that for a solid year, I think you would make a lot of progress. And you'd be very happy with your results. Look at this, is something in the glass here that you have got to be aware of. Look at this. I'm going to come in here and drop a dark tone right like that. And I'm actually going to use my eraser, because this should be almost pure white over there. You see that? Here's something else I noticed in my drawing here, and this is when this just proves my point about the idea of go for the construction and the rest will take care of itself. See, I made a mistake of elongating my face too much, but since I stuck with it, see, the likeness still maintained within him. It just got stretched a little bit. You know, even that nose really did me under. I think if I look closely at it, the distance from his bottom of his nose to his chin looks good. Yeah, I think that center section there got a little bit long on me, and that kind of sent me down sent me down the wrong path. But that happens. So you know what you do? You just keep going, right? Don't overthink this. All right. I think we're going to end it with that tonight. I hope that you have found that helpful. And Jewel, great suggestion. That was a lot of fun to draw Stephen King with you. Hopefully you picked up a couple extra tips you didn't know beforehand, or if you already know everything I said, then You got some acting. It's got some good practice, right? Hey, thanks for watching, everyone. Russell, thanks for holding down the fort in the middle of the night out there in the lovely English Isles. I hope I said that right. Everyone else, thanks for tuning in. My name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws. This is our Wednesday night live class. Okay, see you guys later. Have a great night. Bye-bye.